In order to calculate the standard deviation of a data set, we need to first enter a set of data into a list. I went ahead and entered some data into L1 and also L2. These are the data sets from the first example in this section, which is the data for the waiting times in minutes for the patrons at Varsity Burger and at Royal Burger. In order to calculate a standard deviation, we're still going to use one-var stats. So I'm going to hit Stat, slide over to the Calc menu, and then press one-var stats. Now I have data in L1 and in L2. It will always default to L1 if I don't tell it anything, but I'm going to go ahead and put L1 in. The standard deviation is presented right here. So Sx, this is the sample standard deviation, and sigma x is the population standard deviation. In order to know which one to use, you need to know from your problem whether or not you're working with a sample of data or with a population of data. Since we have 10 patrons waiting times at these burger joints, I would assume that this would only be a sample of data because clearly these burger joints would have more than 10 people that have ever eaten there. In general, your homework and your tests should tell you if your data is a population or a sample somewhere. If not, you should always default to the data being a sample because this is a statistics class and we are learning to calculate statistics. Now, I also put data into L2. I can do the one-var stats to the data in L2 by telling the calculator hitting second L2 as the input to the one-var stats. And that way it will know to use the data that's in L2. Here the standard deviation is much larger at 1.82 for the sample standard deviation, and the population standard deviation is 1.73.